on YouTube. And right now, the message very soon. And hey, coming into this room right now live, and he can't hear us yet, is Mr. Ben Arledge. Everybody give him a round of applause. Woo! Yeah, badass. And we're going to be right here, whatever length of time it takes for this thing to finish, getting us up and running and going. And there we are. Oh, Lorette Lee is coming to join us on virtual box lunch today. Fantastic. And we are up and we are we are moving and grooving, rocking and rolling on YouTube Live. So welcome, Lorette, Ben, thanks for popping in. But this is, of course, a virtual box lunch, which means you're going to need to turn your camera on. There we go. That's absolutely it. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in business the past week, some of the stuff we've got right now, and of course, roundtable it and just talk about the things and stuff we're seeing, we're experiencing. And as business coaches, we absorb a lot of stuff about what's happening in the marketplace. Paul looks like he's seen an auto accident. Yeah, that kind of week, huh? I kind of think so. I had a client this morning. I shit you not, and no, this is not built for children. So YouTube's asking me right now, what playlist are we going to put this in? And should we make this for children? This is definitely not for children. That's for sure. Anyway, but I had a client this morning pop in, and she comes on and goes, "Hey, yeah, is it too early to drink?" I'm like, it's 8:30 in the morning, and she goes, "It feels like it's not too early to drink." I'm like, "Do what you got to do, right?" So also, you're asking a business coach. I got nothing for you, right? Business might just need to get by right now. So what we're seeing and experiencing is not anything different, anything weird or new or out of the ordinary, or anything that we haven't seen or that we might not see, again, because we've just been experiencing the last 15 months. We're sitting here right now, but pressure and stress is getting everybody. So, hey, first of all, Paul, Matt, what are you guys seeing this week? I got a couple of topics I want us to cover, pick your brains on a bit. Ben, Lorette, thank you for coming and joining the live studio audience. For everybody that's going to be on us in YouTube, don't hesitate to drop a comment, stuff like that. What are you guys seeing over the past week? And I mean, there's personal, professional, and business, right? Personally, it's stressful as hell right now. I mean, I'm under it. My wife's under it. We just had a brief conversation not that long ago. She's feeling it this week too. She's in healthcare. I'm feeling it this week as well. And not just because other people are, because of course I'm experienced as a human being. Professionally, a lot of things are being asked this week, a lot. And while I might be trained and professionally prepared for this, there's an awful lot of stuff that normally doesn't come this often, this fast, all in the same week. So once again, getting squeezed a little bit, right? Seeing what I'm really made of. And then from a business perspective, lots of volatility. I'll say this is the first time in 15 months I've had this kind of, we'll call it the good feels. 15 months down in the economy, whereas before is you always got a little bit of, okay, got to be very cautious. Breathing a little easier this week. Things are coming a little smoother. Things are coming a little faster. Things are growing a little bit. That's my take. You guys are right here on my screen. I got Lorette and Ben right there on mine as well. So you two guys, Paul and Matt, what you guys got for me? What are you seeing and what are you going through this week?
Things are moving. I want to comment on the fast side of things. It really does seem like things are picking up. Change of season, spring flowers, everything's greening up. So it's like everybody has a little extra energy, even with all of the stress that they're going through. I'm seeing a lot more transactions happening. And, it's just kind of like that. It's everyone's getting back alive or coming out of their hibernation from winter. And, things are moving. People are asking questions. They're inquiring a lot more. And some sales are definitely happening. And I think there's an itch. People want to start getting back to it. They want to get out of the house. Good news for vaccinations and news coming out saying, hey, once we hit, this particular number, we're going to start opening things again. So, I think it's that hope and it's that excitement and anticipation. And you can definitely see it in the leaders in industry. They're starting to ramp stuff up now before everything breaks. The other side that isn't ramping up seems to be labor, especially hiring. It seems very flat for market, and the people that are applying are not the quality to be expected usually in a normal marketplace. So I think once that government money stops, and it'll be a dead stop, then there's just everyone's going to come to that realization like, oh shit, I need to get paid by the end of the month. So, having your ad out now, I think will actually be a blessing, even though you're kind of, wading through it. That you're gonna find those people in June.
Matt?
Right, and I'll kind of mirror what Paul had said. I've seen in the B2B space transactions happening faster, which is fantastic. I think we're getting back into the quote unquote normal. I'm not going to say new normal or any of those buzzwords, but just back to business. What I have found personally as well, and I see it often, is the B2C space. Everywhere's lined up, right? Like I was one of those individuals with my kids and wife to go out and spend 3.5 hours in line to get summer flowers for it to snow the next day, right? So I do find that the pace in the retail environment has to slow because we have no choice based off of current lockdowns. But in the B2B space, yeah, we're getting back at it, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying those conversations as well. And then as a side note, for anybody that's online right now, if you are a teacher or know a teacher, give them a hug, because I don't know how they do it. It's just one of these things where I had my youngest online, and her teacher is teaching 26 kids, but she also has 3 of her own, right? Like I couldn't imagine. So like we're all going through these transitions. And again, if you hear some background noise, that is of course my kids upstairs going to school or pretending to, right? But that's just the way of the world. And you have to get to it, right? Speaking to what Paul had said, you just have to get after it, right? So it's, again, I love what I'm seeing in the business sector. On the B2C side, in the consumer side, again, the pace is still a little bit slow, but our hope is with masks and vaccinations and this and whatever else is happening in the world of today, that we can get back to it in the retail market too.
We're talking about retail market. We just talk about what we're seeing effect wise as well. Again, much like last week when we talked, or 2 weeks ago, we talked not a dialect on agreement, disagreement, political landscape, whatever it is, but let's call it what it is. Right now in certain marketplaces, we're seeing sports arenas wide open, right? For those of us, because hey, we're coming live from, around Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So we're in the throes of playoff hockey, right? And what did we see? We saw footage of a game in one of the other divisions in the US, Carolina, full stands, right? Full stands. Right now in Edmonton, they aren't letting people in the arena. They're not doing it. But Montreal, which is far further east, is letting 2,500 people in the arena next week for their home game. A really limited trial audience. So wherever it is, so maybe, no, not politics, but certainly on people, the way we make decisions and this sort of stuff for a moment. What does this tell us? That the politicians are bad, or they're good, or some regions are better or worse, or da-da-da-da? Well, the southern U.S. is a gong show, right? Florida did nothing for the pandemic. Texas did nothing for the pandemic, yet they aren't the worst states in the U.S. for COVID. So what does that tell you? None of us has a really clear what's going on. And that, I guess, is even better when you look at it from a business perspective, because why should there be an arena in Carolina letting older people sit in the stands for a playoff game? And then there's an arena in Montreal, and Quebec has, well, not the best track record for COVID, just like Alberta. Number one, right? Yet they're going to allow 2,500 people in the stands. Alberta, we're going through another lockdown again. So what does this say? Well, this says that the people in government are trying the best they can, but it really depends on who you are, what you do, and how smart you are. It's the same as business. So the businesses are asking the government to help to make business-related decisions, but we're all just running around bumping into stuff. Is there really any difference between Carolina and Montreal? Between I can't remember the capital, Carolina. It's embarrassing right now as well. But where the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be playing on home ice, where the Montreal Canadiens are going to be playing on home ice, and where the Edmonton Oilers are going to be playing on home ice. Is there really any difference between populations? Montreal, Edmonton, and Savannah's in Georgia. Where they're in Carolina, population is about 1 million. We all got the same number of people. So what does this say? It's not a COVID thing. It's certainly a business thing. Should we be doing it? Should we not be doing it? Which one's right? Which one's wrong? Does it matter? Don't know. But that's something really curious to take about business, because most of the time we're just kind of making it up. Whether you have full stands, 2,500 people, or nobody, watch from home. Raleigh, North Carolina. Of course, Ben. Thank you. Right? How many people in Raleigh? I just Googled where it is. He doesn't care what the population is. Like, I don't care. You can sink in the ocean for all I care. No. Anybody watching from North Carolina? Probably not. Yes. We hope you lose. Yeah, there we go. But anyway, yeah, in indictment simply on the fact that we make decisions every single day, business, personal, professional, doesn't matter what it is. Most of the time, you just make those decisions based on emotion. Roll an emotional state. Hey, hug your teacher. Absolutely, right? How many of us have broken up kid fist fights? Actually, right? Yeah. Ben won't put his hand up in the air, but we know. We know. So there's an awful lot going on right now. We are being tasked with more things right now than we are at any given time. We really are. Yeah, and it's not because she's not grateful. My wife says every week, thank you very much for what you do, because I'm the one primarily at home. Doesn't mean she doesn't want to be here or she can't help. She works from home 1 or 2 days a week, and then she's off to her office 1 or 2 days a week because that's the necessity of her job. I've moved fully into my job, right? I'm in my office cul-de-sac, and I know thanks to the green screen, I always have an endless series of places I'd love to be physically instead of everybody else. But I can tell you this, because where my office sits, my front door is right there. My living room is right back there. And when my daughters decide that it's Mortal Kombat time, I hear every stitch of it right through the floor, So I am doing this job. I'm talking to the world right now on the interwebs, right? Just finished up in a sales role, right? Talking to a brand new company that's coming to work with us. Before that, helped another company that has spent 7 months going through some horrific shit, absolutely terrible shit. And they're finally got their feet back under them again, So all those things have to be managed against. Also, a chance to chat to my wife. She's off today. We got a long weekend coming up. She's off today, so a chance just to check in with her in the middle of a day, which is a rarity. For a moment, I don't have to worry about where my kids are. They're outside playing with friends, neighborhood friends, but because she's here. But otherwise, my kids will be cooped up inside because I've spent so much time here. So all these different things are happening. Chief cook, bottle washer, business coach, salesperson, home guardian, referee, police caretaker, custodian. Well, I said cook already, right? Well, with kids, they're cooks and not chefs because they really don't care what you feed them as long as it's something they'll eat, kind of thing. We got all those different roles. How do you mitigate it? How do you balance it? I don't know. It says savage in business on here, but some days, as Ben put it to me once, the savage in business got savaged. Yeah, there's been some doozies in the last couple of weeks. What about the rest of you? Ben, Lorette, chime in. Matt, Paul, personal states, guys doing well. What are you dealing with as you're going through this sort of stuff too? And what do you expect? It's May 21st. What do you expect in a month? What do you expect in 6 months? What do you expect in a year? What you got? And then I'll start throwing some topics at you.
Well, it's Friday win today. Like I won all over the place this week. Like it was like win, 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 win. I just had the vibrational energy to be like, let's play this week in business. Let's make some money. And then I made some money. So it was real fun this week.
Okay. Nicely done. Good job. Ben, what you got for us?
I guess, lately we've had, more, serious issues around personal issues in our lives, whether it's the vaccine or families affected by COVID. I had one of my neighbors who died from the vaccine, like literally across the street. And, one of my best friends, his mother died yesterday, literally. We've got all these things happening in our families over the pandemic or as a result of the pandemic that do affect us very deeply. So I think we still have to recognize that we've got a lot of issues with our business, but we've got a lot of issues in our personal lives we still have to take care of and nurture and make sure that our friends and family are okay.
Well put, Ben. You put something perfectly, and I'm glad you jogged my memory on that. How many people right now are hiding at work? How many people are hiding in their business? Right? It's much easier. I'm blessed because I'm a coach, so I know how a lot of this shit works, right? Training and proclivity and practice and design and that sort of stuff. But I also invest with a coach. I've had the same coach for 5 years, and so I get my my head shed moment. I get my watershed moment. It's not therapy. It's not psychology. Well, it's got some psychology involved in there, but I get called to task. I have somebody that I'm accountable to on a regular basis. It's not just about business. So I am always mindful what's going through my head. And I find that when it gets as busy as it's been this week, and again, nothing terrible. These have all been good things have happened this week, right? Lots of really cool stuff going on, lots of heavy lifting, lots of hard work, lots of bulk work, all pumped, all kind of pushed and mashed together. It's really easy to come down here and hide. It's really easy to come down here and say, listen, I got something really important to take care of. And yeah, it's important. There's no bones about it. It is desperately important. It's important so I could make my mortgage payment. It's important so I could pay my utilities. It's important so I could continue to feed those kids, even though they'll eat like 4 things, right? It's really important to eat the 4 things that I seem to only be eating right now too. And 2 of those 4 are carbohydrates. I ain't gonna lie. Carbohydrates are delicious, right? Yeah, Ben put exercise. You shut up, Ben. I'm talking about carbohydrates right now. Don't talk about exercise. But we're doing that. So we're doing that stuff because we're hiding. And actually, Ben's not wrong again. Exercise. How many people went the other way in the middle of the pandemic too? I'm in the best shape of my life. Cool. What do you do for? I work out. Well, you're working out to the exclusion of your kids. You're working out to the exclusion of your partner. Don't have a partner, don't have kids. You're working out to the exclusion of the rest of your welfare. You're working out to the exclusion of your mental health, right? It's very easy for me to go to work because this is the controllable environment. This is the one I have complete understanding over. Now, not every business owner can say that about their business. It's very easy to go bury yourself in the work. But my exact profession is to literally understand all the bits and pieces. So for me, it's enjoyable. It's the mental puzzle. When I'm working with somebody else's business, it's taking things apart, putting them back together. It's Lego for adults. It's Lego with money attached to it, right? I make a lot of money for putting the Lego together the right way. If I don't get paid. So it's easy for me to retreat down here. I have to be mindful to stay conscientious about that and doing something that I've been bad at a number of times in my life, which is to go away from that and burn myself out doing this. Not leaving enough to go upstairs, not leaving enough to go spend time with my kids. I got 4 of them myself. So it's really easy to hide. Who's hiding? Who's got at least one thing that they used to hide? Right? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and please comment if you want. Who's using at least one thing to hide while we're dealing with a pandemic? I love Matt for saying, listen, there's no pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. This is just what it is right now. Yeah, I get it, but that's also fairly authoritarian statement. This is just the way it is right now. Yeah, it is, but we're all hiding because that's also just the way it is right now too, right? How long was that bottle of scotch on your desk?
Right. Well, and I'll chime in on that because for me, it's just simply this. If we are still waiting for something else to happen based off of the pandemic, we're missing the opportunity today, right? And I absolutely subscribe to what you're saying because like you, I am now in my basement. I've, turned what was a playroom into a home studio because it's not even an office anymore because most likely you have more lighting than you do paper in the world of today, right? So just based off of that alone, I agree, right? And, I've always had a difficult time with my work-life balance. And I really wanted to focus on that through this, but I'm literally working from home. So the only way that we can identify if I'm working or not is if the ring light, the studio light is on. So like my kids will literally be off camera and being, hey dad. And if they see that the light is on, they know that I probably will not respond, and especially if I'm speaking, right? But that is, and we see it everywhere in the Zoom rooms, right? You got kids popping up, dogs and cats and whatever it may be. And honestly, I do feel that moving forward, it's just going to be part of what we have done and what we continue to do, right? Like for me, Zoom isn't going to go away. There's definitely some Zoom fatigue that is happening along with a lot of other fatigues, right? So listen, we've laughed a little bit. And again, we need to be mindful of what's going on there. I want no one to get sick ever, whether or not it's this current sickness or other, but I've joked that my COVID-19 is similar to my freshman 15, right? And it's simply because it's around my midriff. But, similar to Ben, life is happening no matter what. And that happens in and outside of pandemics all the time. People fluctuate up and down. So now my commitment is that if I'm not getting the incentive to go out and do it, I need someone to be accountable to. And it's actually my kids, because again, like we're spending quite a bit of time together. And it's odd to me that I've now started to look and listen to them more, even within business, because it's about their morning routines and what they're doing. Because like, do you remember as a kid where you could go from like REM deep sleep to bang, I'm up and out of bed and I'm ready to go? Well, that doesn't happen for, someone of my age even. And it takes me a little bit longer to kind of get the body and mind moving. So I'm looking at them to really kind of start my day. And that has actually helped over the course of the last couple of weeks and months, because there's more energy because of it.
Well, here right now, and let's stay on the topic of dealing, managing, or mitigating for a moment, because we got Ben, and again, Ben's on my screen is sitting right there. I don't even know who I'm pointing to on everybody else's screen. Doesn't matter. On my screen, I got Ben right there, right? For Ben, it's he had a neighbor, somebody that knows really well. He's not a close friend had somebody go away. It's not the first time that his family's brushed up against this close in the immediate circle. And yet right over there's Paul. Paul's still recovering from COVID. So that's mitigating having to deal with other people's headspace with everything else we got. And you got to imagine that that's going to spike worry and fear for everything else, for his own mom, for his wife, for his kids, etc. For Paul over here, new relationship, new household, the equivalent of stepkids and stuff like that, live with his girlfriend. Now that's ravaging through there. One of his closest friends, their roommate living in the basement, still sick. Months later.
Still on oxygen.
Still on oxygen as well. So that, man, talk about soul sucking. Talk about stealing resources and valuable energy to do other things. Well, shit, I'm going to remind everybody of something for a moment. This is without COVID. 87% of businesses fail in 3 years. 97% fail in 10 years. They fail most of the time. Why? Because you don't know. You don't even know what you don't know, and it punishes you in a hurry. So how much worse does it get because we got close friends and family dropping dead? We got close friends we don't know, dealt with it ourselves, right? How much of that are we all carting around as well that keeps the you don't know what you don't know until it kills you going on? So we really cotton on to, or we really grasp a hold of those things we think we understand well enough. So because that becomes lifelines, security blankets, it becomes the buoy floating in the water, right? We'll hold on to it in rough waves and shitty water because it's the only thing that's going to keep our head above water. But it's not the best thing to hold on to, right? So it makes it really tough to navigate and put through that. Yeah, I know this got a little dark from some of the humor earlier, but we have to deal with that. Must deal with it and accept it if we're going to be able to navigate and mitigate. So here, I'm going to offer some thoughts. Whether you own one business or dozens of businesses, it's still business at the end of the day, right? We can all agree business is business. The better you are at just doing business, period, whatever business you've got. So how well you've been doing at simplifying that for the last little while, not using it as a security blanket. How well are you doing at understanding what you're good at, what you're not good at, navigating that shit? And how well are you at remembering what you owe to other people in your life, whether it's a spouse, partner, kids, pets, parents, doesn't matter what it is, and making sure to mitigate that. And then how well are you mitigating you? There are moments in the last, we're May, so the last 15 months, I definitely have not done a good job with me. There are moments I haven't done a good job with my wife, right? We're talking Canada for part of the virtual box lunch, but it's experience we got shared. There's a moment there where I spent a solid period of time, early in the pandemic, and it hit here for us in the middle end of March last year, where I said, hey, the next 3 months, I'm going to make sure there's an awful lot of service and time into my wife and my kids. I'm reminding myself again, I need to do that, but guess what happened? I spent an awful lot of time doing that. Didn't spend any time taking care of myself. Spent an awful lot of time protecting a lot of other people, right? So who's doing what to take care of themselves right now? What do we got here? I got 4 LCU on the call. What else are you doing to take care of yourself? And keep it below mature, okay? The line is PG-13 or mature, okay? We're not going full R-rated, I don't need a warning from YouTube. We're not going there. But what are we doing to take care of ourselves? Who's got what?
Ooh, Lorette's going on an adventure. Like, come on a journey, your career development journey. Choose your own adventure. One of my clients has to take himself out on a date. Okay, like, that's what kind of adventure I'm holding. Like, there you go.
What's Lorette doing?
What am I doing? Taking myself on a date. I got
There you go.
the adventure of life is fierce. I'm going on a nature walk. That's the answer.
Nice. Okay. Who else got some? Who else got some from self-care?
We'll go next. So obviously the physical game is a mental game as well, right? So if you feel good, you're going to feel good. And I've definitely gotten back into that mindset. And one of the things is that we're fatigued, certainly mentally, physically, spiritually, but it's also difficult to be like, I couldn't imagine, trying to date or court somebody right now, like a teenager or whatever it may be, right? Because there's nothing to do. So I went down a social media rabbit hole, and there is an ad that had popped up. And again, don't know why, don't know how, but it's called the Adventure Challenge, and it's books. So if you guys have seen it, you might have seen it. Anyway, I bought in literally. So SEO, whatever type of marketing they did, it worked. So good for them. And I bought the 2-pack. So I bought the couples and I bought the family. And it's amazing because it truly is the idea that you just can't come up with, right? And, speaking to what many of us have said is that, we kind of have this little office as a hideaway, and you spend so much, mental energy here that you're so fatigued that the family gets the leftovers. Well, the last thing that I want to do is make another decision for myself or for someone else after I'm done work, right? So now you literally open up this book and it's like a scratch and sniff. You scratch it off and this is what you're doing. And it's been fantastic for us because it literally, clears some mind space. So I can clear that part of the table off. And it's super fun for the family because it's not necessarily going to a big box store or going to a restaurant, which again, here right now we can't do, but it's these little adventures. So it's like a picnic, which I got to tell you, like in my youth, would love to go on picnics. I've often said, and the dads in the room and the parents in the room will smirk. And first, I love my life. I love my kids. It's like the best time to be a dad at the age that they are right now. But I often say that my last vacation was 6 years ago, because now the vacation is a whole lot of planning and a whole lot of steps as a parent. And again, the parents out there will understand that. So I love it. We obviously love the adventure, but like these, processes, the books really have tried to like elevate a bit, which has been fantastic for me, right? So, for me, it's just make it simple. That, Paul, you mentioned in one of our meetings, the KISS theory. I subscribe to that fully. The key, do what you are good at and become great, and keep it simple. I'll say sweetie, so that I'm not using the word stupid on YouTube, right? So just keep it simple. And that to me has been the best thing, like literally just getting up and doing some exercise and then getting to the tasks at hand have allowed me to, I don't look as fatigued as I'm staring at myself 6 hours a day at Zoom, right? So I'm feeling better means that you're going to do better. And that's been important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Paul, what you got?
Well, it's focusing on the little things. It's focusing for myself anyways, is, what's happening in nature, what's changed since I last looked outside the window or I've been outside, what wildlife is around me. So it's a lot more of an observation on that side. And, I forget the book. Was it the book there with the gentleman that was in the concentration camp? You know the one I'm talking about.
It's As a Man Thinketh, right?
Yeah, and he was explaining how, he had to work and they didn't feed them very much, but there's one thing that they couldn't take away, is the way he was thinking. They couldn't take away the sky. They couldn't take away the beauty that was around him. So, and he had a goal. And I think for me, it's like, okay, yeah, everything's speeding up on the business side, and there's so many Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings after Zoom meetings. And, the stress levels are high because it's not only workload, but it's family load. And then you have, exterior family members that need help on that side. And then you have neighbors and you have friends. I think it's really starting to bring community back together. I think we were so far apart on more of a consuming side and gathering shit And now when things have been taken away from us, we're having more conversations. We're having deeper conversations rather than surface conversations. And I see it changing in business where kids are running around in the room. This is normal for business. I think the formality of business is starting to go away, and we can just be ourselves. We don't have to be the cardboard cutout anymore and a little bit fake. We can actually show who we are and do business in a relaxed, hopefully less stressful way. And I think it's taking a lot of those ideas or ideologies or groupthink, this is the way that things need to be done, and kind of throwing it out the window.
Mhm.
It was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
And search for, thank you.
Sorry, I was wrong, but that's the right answer.
Ben, you got something you want to add?
Not really. I swear I didn't eat a whole bag of Oreo cookies yesterday.
Yum!
Been there.
Food therapy, right? Yeah, you know what? We're all laughing, we're all teasing, we're all going, been there for a moment. No, you know what? I'm gonna add some personal side. So if you haven't, I've said it a few times today. So the theme for the rest of today is personal, professional, and business. So I'm gonna ask you guys about the professional side as well, what you're doing to evolve or catch up in a moment. Then we'll go back to business as the final one. Right now we're on personal. So what are you doing to care for yourself? Food therapy. Who here learned to cook something new? Who here tried to cook something new? Who
Absolutely.
here went back to cooking something you never did before? Who here's having more home cooked meals?
Mm.
Who here's prepping food ahead of time, right? So there's something right now. Get it done. Get it done. You don't know how? I am sorry. We're live on YouTube right now. There are no excuses. No damned excuses at all not to learn to cook better than you right now. Why? Because you can watch the damn video. You can do it with them as well. Hell, inside of our other business, inside of Syndicate, and thanks to Ben here, when we had our Christmas party, what did we have? We had an executive chef and a bartender come in virtually with us and teach people how to cook stuff and make mixed drinks. And we had funny hats and we had all sorts of stuff going on. So we were able to come together as a community. Dozens of us came together in a community, learned how to mix something from a mixologist, learned how to cook something from a professional chef, do this sort of stuff. No excuses in the world not to do it, right? Also, and Matt mentioned earlier, we've heard lots of it right now, Zoom fatigue. So here's something for you as well. Now, I'm going to do the best thing I can. If I turn around, I hate this view. You guys are going, Mitch, what the hell are you talking about? It is a green screen, and it is closing off half of the room I'm sitting in right now. But I spent so much time staring at the screen today. I love this background. And every time I go into a brand new meeting, so consider doing this for yourself. What do? I open up this little tiny box, and you can't see it right now. And I go, which one do I want next? I like this one. It's more sedate, still a pub background, right? It's kind of cool, a little fun. Boutique coffee shop, classy. Look at the colors and stuff like that popped up in there. A little more funky, eclectic, cool, sense of open room, big tall pillars, big sky behind me, right? Lights hanging from the ceiling, funky coffee shop, lots of fun. So I spent so much time staring at the screen, and hell, this week was no different. 50, 60 meetings, whatever it is, every one of them, because I'm looking at myself plus everybody else, I got a different background. This is a place that makes me happy. It's a place I'd like to be, right? So cook something new. Try something different. Change your Zoom screen in your background. And the other part you can't see on my screen up here, but on one of my others over here is my calendar. And now anybody that's listened to me talk as well knows how much goes into it. Well, guess what? Yesterday, I had meetings starting at 7:30 in the morning. My last meeting was supposed to end at 10 o'clock last night, ended a little after 9 o'clock. But there was a meeting from 7:30 to 8:30. There was a meeting from 9 till 10:30. There wasn't a meeting again till noon. What happened in between? This turned off, and I went to the family. I went to some personal time. My parents were over because they're helping because the kids are at home right now, so they're helping with schoolwork. What did I see? I had my little girls, and there was grandma and grandpa hanging out with their granddaughters. So I got a little bit of time to visit with everybody as well. It was lots of fun. But that meant that the moment this clock stopped ticking here, it switched to there. So finding those moments are going to be desperately important. All right, let's switch professional. Who thinks they got worse at their job, not better in the last 15 months? Who thinks they got worse at least one thing? Who thinks they got better at least one thing? Who got better at a whole bunch of things? Right? Who leveled up? There we go. That's the most enthusiasm I've seen out of Ben in a little while. It's 2 thumbs up out of that man. Proud of you, brother. Absolutely proud of you. And yeah, I'm teasing him a little bit for a moment, but I'm proud as hell of you. So no excuses. So I'm gonna get the panel here, the participants, to give you a sense of what they worked on last year. Now, professional, understand when I say what made you better at your job, there's the job of running your business, there's the job of doing things in your business, and then there's the job just makes you better, right? When I'm talking about professional, did you get better at building relationships? Did you get better at communication? Did you get better at dealing with, again, spouse, partner, parents, children, etc.? That's part of your profession too, because there's a profession to be a dad or a mom. There's a profession to be a partner or spouse. There's a profession to be a dutiful adult child. I don't mean dutiful like you listen to what your parents say. I mean, take care of them. They're aging. They're getting on in years, right? This sort of stuff. So when I say you get better at your job, give me an example of something you've been working on over the past year that made you better. One, that you can pass on to other people, but two, of course, what makes you feel better about yourself too, right? Matt, we're going to kick it off with you. What you got?
Sure. Well, again, many of you know, I've had a tremendous week. We've landed, and we didn't just land, but we activated our largest national client. And, we did more sales in 24 hours than it took almost all last month. So, for us, I'm not going to say we're doing things better. I would say that we've been able to do them different enough, and they've been able to convert. Right. So I loved what I did before. I'm, again, an energy in the room type person. I feed off of people that are physically in a room. That said, I've obviously worked on efficiencies, because now I can hit a red button and I can be in Toronto 50 seconds from now. I can be all over the world. Right. So there's just a different way of doing things, a new way. And honestly, Zoom's been around for years and maybe even decades. I have no idea. It's just that it became prolific, or it came to our forefront because of necessity. But I'm just grateful, because we've talked about this before. Imagine doing this 10 years ago, right? Like 15 years ago. We're trying to send something on a Palm Pilot, or the blueberries, the first blackberries. Like, can you imagine doing any of this, right? So I'm just grateful for it on a professional level, because we're doing things, again, differently, not necessarily better, but we've had many conversations over the past 5 years that were a not right now, right? And now is now, and it is right now. So we're grateful for that, because we have people coming to us now. So we're, again, knock on wood, but we're weathering the storm.
All right, Lorette, what you got?
Well, I opened my company last year, so I'm in round 2. Started with the theory of career development, and I was like, that's not enough. So we had the practice of career development added on. We had choose your own adventure classes, which are really, really fun. And then we have the legendary journey that I just launched this week, which is like continually coaching with my clients. So exciting. And then entrepreneur, the definition of an entrepreneur is like ADD all the way. So I'm on book 2. I wrote my first book in my first year of business. Now it's round 2, ding, 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 grace and glory. So I'm on my second book. My first book, I just got the artwork for my book, and it looks so amazing. I can't believe why today and why this week was so cool is in my brain is crazy awesome. And so I saw an artist do my brain in front of me. I'm like, that's the art that I was talking about. So just wins all over the place. Where did I get better in business? Features, advantage, benefits. Where did I get better in business? All 4 of you men are amazing. I love all of you guys. The deeper connections that I've made because of this, right? Syndicate is my home. I belong here. This is my empire. I get to grow and learn with professionals. I love it. So I just, so fun in business, learning and developing and growing.
The king of 2 thumbs up today. Ben, what you got, pal?
Well, I mean, it's been a trying year in the last year, to be honest. I've had some time to self-reflect and look at where I was at, what I was doing, where I want to be, where I want to go. So I've tightened up my ship in a lot of ways. I've expanded my team. I've taken on new projects. I've taken on projects that I didn't think I would necessarily have the capacity or the interest in. So So I mean, it's been a bit of a breakthrough year for me in that regard. Been able to just, learn some new things personally, how to run things a bit better. So time management, some project management improvement. Um, and that's just going to help me, I think, in the years to come as far as capacity, capability, so many different things. So I'm very grateful for that.
Badass. Paulie, what you got?
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy few years. Definitely had to level up, and it's a year of expansion, growth, and learning. So it's a heavy pace, and I'm just getting back to adjusting to that heavy pace from where I was in real estate investing. So it's getting back into the groove again. So it's like starting the first 2 to 3 weeks of working out. You're dead tired. You're hurt, you can't move, you don't want to do anything. And then you start to get that rhythm, right? And then you get into the groove, and you're amazed at how much you can do within a day. And then other than that, it's been mind focus. It's what am I telling myself? Am I telling myself something that's positive, or am I telling myself something negative? Or am I coming in with that habit of negative thinking or expectation more than anything, right? A forward thinking that this should be like this, or this is going to be like that, or this person meant this, and basically telling myself a story. So, through this, I've been able to recognize and actually question myself and go, is that the truth? Is that reality? And how are you coming into a room? How are you coming into a situation with that particular thought pattern? So I've been able to, identify that and stop it, which, for me is a huge breakthrough. And I think for everybody is a huge breakthrough, because we're our own worst enemies. If I'm going to be a successful business person, I better have the freaking mindset for it in order to do it. If I think I can't, am I not right? Even if I do have the greatest group around me through coaching and through syndicate and the relationships that I have, it doesn't matter if everybody's telling me, because I'm not hearing it. So, it's really been allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be true, and listening, deeply listening to yourself and going, why do I want it? Why am I acting like this? And is this something that is going to, bring me forward, bring me peace, bring me love, or am I pushing it away?
Okay. I'm going to tie these two things together for a moment, and then we're going to close out our day just talking about business a little bit, because I think there's some mechanics that we've all learned. There's the tough lessons that you get because of situation and time. Those lessons are learned because you're either lucky enough or good enough to catch them proactively and start to take action. And there's things that you learn that allow you to make changes. So we'll talk about through the business through those three lenses in a moment. But I want to tie together personal and professional really quick. Personal, professional, and business are all tied together by a few things. One, perception, what we think of ourselves, first of all. Next, what we're working towards, what we're driving, what we want out of this. Third, our capacity. In other words, our actual abilities and how much we can take on. And fourth, what we're valuing when it comes out of the back end. So if you don't understand right now, 15 months into a pandemic, which really means one of the most disrupted markets we've ever experienced in our lives, but know that this is the biggest universal, in other words, worldwide one we've had. But this is not the most violent one that we've had in our lives. I'm pushing 50. This is not the most violent economic landscape that I've lived through, but it is the most omnipresent one. So what do you understand about money, and what do you value about it, right? What is it that you need? What is it that you want? And how much is going to get by? Paul touched on it a little bit. We talked about the fact that now, and there's Ben switching his background. Boom, baby, boom, right? Doing a little Zoom therapy for himself. What do you understand about money? 2, what do you value about relationships? 3, what are you good at right now? What can you make better? 4th, what aren't you so good at right now that you've been watching get exposed over and over and over again? 5, how much are you willing to nourish what you got? Body, mind, and soul. You got to nourish all three. If you don't, you're screwed. You're going down, right? And it's a matter of time. It's inevitable. It was 15 months ago, they talked about it being inevitable until you got brushed with or got COVID. It was just a matter of time. Now that the vaccines are coming, they're talking about reducing the severity, but still, there's a high degree of likelihood, thank you, mathematics and virology, that at some point COVID's going to get to you. It's just time. The severity of it is what's going to get reduced. So nourish body, mind, and soul, right? Get right with the way you view money and what's going on with money, and understand what you really want, what you need. And if your activities aren't going to lend themselves towards that, or you're not good enough to earn it, then you got to adjust what the hell you're doing. You got to get right with what's going on for money. You got to build relationships differently and better. You got to take care of yourself, right? And you got to be able to sit there and look at what you're doing in a very practical sense. Because also one of the things that's being experienced right now, I see it every week and every day talking to business owners. Everything is so much faster right now. Studies done early in the shift. So last year we'd be talking second quarter, third quarter. So coming in the summer months, June, July, August, really is what we're talking about here for that period of time. The shift in employment and employees that went home in job function when it came to their primary job roles. People that went home saying, listen, whatever the 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 things you got to do primarily, work on that, fuck the rest of it, right? Guess what happened? Their job performance went up. They're like, but I'm only working 25 or 30 hours a week, not 40 or 45 or 50 hours a week. Why am I getting more done? Well, guess what's happening? Because we're home here more, because we're sitting in, I'm wearing yoga pants and a Savage in Business hoodie t-shirt, right? While I talk to you guys right now, Paul's probably in his boxer shorts because that's just what he's covering. I don't know. I'm kidding. He's like, actually, I am. I called it. Woo! 1 point for Mitch. But we're spending more time just focused on the stuff that's most important. So when we talk about personal, professional, what's most important? What's most important in your relationships? What's most important for yourself? Are you nourishing your body, your mind, and your soul? What's most important when it comes to the money? What's going to cover you? What's going to get you by? And what are you really looking for next? And what do you want out of all of this? Because there's so much of what we do right now is monotonous and responsive, as opposed to being proactive or plan or goal, even just goal oriented. Never mind what's going to be the result, what's going to be the overall, that all we're doing is just getting through the day. So figure out what you got to do, right? For each of those. So now to business. We got the reactive, we got the proactive part, we got what we're working on and the stuff we really love out of it. So who's got an example of something reactive they've had to deal with in business the last little bit? Something where they find they're catching themselves, and something where they're making active plans even though nothing's happening right yet. So we got the, hey, I'm dealing with this crap right now. Hey, I caught it on early enough and I made changes, and hey, this is what I'm doing next, even though the world hasn't told me what I'm supposed to do with it yet. Who's going first? We got 3 things: dealing with something reactive, dealing with something proactive, you catch it early enough, and who's made a change. Doesn't even matter what the market conditions are. You just know it's right, or you figured it out from somebody else, or you heard something else. Right. So I'll go first. Give you the examples really quick. Reactive. I'm going to go back to 15 months ago. Reactive, the marketplace went sideways, and something I've never really talked to business owners about, except in the case of bigger businesses, had to do with business continuity or emergency planning. 15 months ago, I ran a 4-hour webinar that still gets hit and views to this day. All had to do with dealing with the pandemic and stuff like that. We never did any of it. Guess what? Neither did I. I had no backup plan or no battle plan for my business. And I'm the dude's like, hey, I'm the dude telling the dude how to do the thing with the dudes in case something bad happens to the dudes, right? I didn't do that as well. I got stuck right in the middle of it, just like everybody else. If my buddy John, who's in emergency preparedness and corporate security, hears this, he's gonna be like, called it, right? Because there's the one dude out of the rest of us that I know that didn't get caught with his pants down. It's like, I literally do this for a living, Mitch. I get that, John. What else do you do for a living? I don't know. I don't have a clue, right? Having trouble finding clients. Well, you got your emergency preparedness plan. That's teasing him for a moment. I had to play catch up. That's 15 months ago, and it's something that I'm still mindful of 15 months later, right? Proactive. What shifted? It was really quite simple. I had to change the way I looked at how time was valued for money. In other words, it changed the way my billing and my invoicing worked with my clients. Also, one of the things that got proactive in a hurry is that I was watching early enough what the trend was. So in business, there is a usual litmus test or marker for when money starts to become harder to get out of people. It used to be 90 days. Well, now right now in our marketplace, it's 32 days. Early on, I realized that if I didn't do something to adjust money, all the money I was going to be making for my clients, even if it was less, keeping the same people around, there wasn't going to be any. So I made a decision early on to work with my clients on a client by client basis to make sure we understood that. But I also made sure that I was being really active when it came to getting paid. I follow up far more frequently. Used to, it's going to be fine. They'll catch up eventually. No, they won't. I automated that system. I made sure that people got pinged regularly. Bang, 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 to speed it up. And I don't let people wait. I have very frank discussions about money. If you don't have money, that's okay, but we're going to figure out how to make this work, right? And moving forward instead, what did I do? Something, because we can all do it, even in a coach's perspective. You get complacent, you get used to your existing marketplace. I've spent the last year pushing to open up brand new markets that I wasn't sure I'd actually get to. Always thought of it as a really good idea, just something else. I'm working at 4 different markets right now that I never thought, I just thought, well, maybe someday it'd be kind of cool if I did that. The market dictated I made shifts in other areas. Why? Because I just don't know. And the guy that gets paid to have answers just isn't sure about what's going on in his current marketplace right now. So I found 4 more to start to play in. So are those conditions, reactive, proactive, and something that you're doing that you know or you feel is right? What do you guys got going on from a business perspective? Matt, where you at?
Well, again, looking back 15 months ago, let's say 18 months ago, we would say that moving into summer of 2019, we wouldn't have expected to be doing, 90% of our business online, right? So now, again, I'm grateful that I work for a company that is tremendous, agile, whatever buzzword you want to use. But all aside is that we went from, again, the in-person to doing this, and we were able to capture more because of it. Again, there was no longer the barrier of, oh, I can't make this lunchtime. Oh, I can't make this coffee meeting. Oh, I'm stuck in traffic. Well, you're not stuck in traffic unless it's internet traffic, right? So as long as you have pretty good Wi-Fi, then you should be A-okay. And we've kind of eliminated that barrier. So, to react to that obviously was something that we needed to do quickly. And again, you've heard me say the word pivot is well overused. Pivot is something that should have happened 15 months ago. Look up, look around, and then move in a direction, right? So we did that. We did that quickly. So I was grateful for that. Something that we were, I think, ahead of the curve is that, I love to do things digitally anyway. So, this wasn't new per se. It just wasn't well rehearsed and wasn't practiced. So the 10,000 hour campaign came into play. And many of us now are like, I'm sure if I logged the amount of hours that I have on Zoom right now, I could almost say that I'm an expert, right? So this background, similar to Mitch, it's a green screen and it's closer than you think, like I'm touching the wall right there. But it also becomes my learning tool, my whiteboard, my blackboard, whatever it may be. And that's not something that I could have done without this. So again, like just utilize the tools and the technology around you. And then moving forward, I definitely want to get back out there. And I'm out there, like, for some of my clients, the world didn't really change at all. They just had to add a mask to their scenario and a little bit of protocol here and there. But, all the guys in the trades, many of the companies within trades have just been busy. And really right now in Alberta, I live in Edmonton, they're busy. So good for them, right? And that's just something where for some, the world changed, hospitality, restaurant, and who knows how that looks coming out of this. But for others, it really is just business as usual or business as unusual, right? Just one more stepping stone that they needed to get through or hoop that they needed to jump through as a, solo entrepreneur, as a small group or whatever it may be. But I found that they came out of it ahead, similarly to us, which I'm grateful for, is that the smaller companies were able to move faster. It's the big entities that had a challenge getting the information down to their front line, and it took weeks or months. So the little guys actually had a benefit there. So I was grateful for that for sure.
Anybody else? What you got? Reactive, proactive, big changes you're making, regardless. You just know it's right.
Definitely big reactive. I was more in the real estate side of things, a lot of Airbnbs, and then with the COVID, because I relied a lot on vacation travel, and fortunately, when they're talking about closing things down for the first time, and then they're talking about closing things down for a second time before the first one has come in, it was kind of like the writing was on the wall. So, being able to see that, pulled the pin and close them all down, and, was looking for an adjustment on that side. So had to really switch gears on the reactive side. On the proactive side, it was, a change of direction and a look at expanding and growing into, something that's have experience, but just learning. So it's been a lot of learning. It's been a lot of heavy lifting. It's been a lot of firsts, which can be challenging, but, embracing it and just pushing forward. You get her done, right? Too bad, get it done. And then from more of a business side is, I'm a technological Luddite, and, basically you'd have to drag me kicking and screaming to learn this stuff, and Mitch can talk to that. It's only taken me 3 years plus to finally get it. And, I might not necessarily like it all of the time, but, have a better understanding moving forward, because like it or not, this is the way it's going. So you better have an understanding. You better know how things work and come together. And, that's where I'm at now is, that's the other big learning curve is trying to make things work on that side. And it's time in. It's time in, right? So you got to grind it out.
Mm-hmm. Ben, Lorette, final thoughts?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. Reactive, I believe in co-creation, so it's my responsibility. I try not to react to things. So if I was like, no, we're going to create a different story. I don't react to things. I create stories. That's what Phoenix Career Development is about choosing your own adventure and personal responsibility. Proactive, I was so proactive in concept work and learning new terms, leaning into intention settings, leaning into best part of the day, leaning into gratitudes, and leaning into reverse engineering. That's the best change that I did, was understand where you're going, so you can then go backwards from that. So I already know my 7-year plan. I already know my 5-year plan. COVID's got nothing on me. I'm busy creating right now. And that's what Phoenix Career Development is about. That's what creating your dream career is about, is dude, personal responsibility, reverse engineer, hang out with me, hang out with you guys, hang out with smart people that want to instead of reactionary, proactive. That's what I'd say.
Ben, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I've typically been more of a reactive person in my business. This year I've become much more proactive in the sense that, I'm doing more biz dev, I'm preparing for the next projects. I'm going out of my comfort zone and doing things that, I need to do to be successful in the future. So, and that's affected my mindset at the same time. I'm much more optimistic. I'm much more excited about what's to come and things like that. So, yeah.
Nice. That's we've talked about enthusiasm, energy, and stuff like that, but I think it's the first time the word excited got dropped this hour, the past hour. That's a really interesting. So, show of hands, who's excited for the next year? Right? Yeah. We 5 do agree. The next year, that is Ben's excited face. Right? That's absolutely Ben's excited face. Love you, brother. Love you, buddy. Yeah. No, but we're gonna wrap this up for the day by saying this: reactive, proactive, planning forward, personal, professional, business, doesn't matter what it is. Find a really simple way to understand where you're sitting right now. Mitch, virtual business box lunch. What does this have to do with business? It has everything to do with business. Get your mind right when it comes to your money. Get your mind when it comes to your relationships. You're spending more and more time around your family and stuff like that. We're either spending more time fighting or more time loving. We're either spending more time happy, more time sad. We're either spending more time broke or more time rich, right? There's never been a better opportunity we had right now. I'm going to finish off with one final thought about business, and then I'm going to wrap this up for the day. While we've had so much disruption, so much change, chaos, and movement, the floor shifted under everybody's feet in the last 15 months, guess what happened? The first time ever In 8 years of doing this, I saw something that I've never seen before in my entire life, which is hope for people out there in business. You can register and incorporate your own business online. And one of the places in Canada is the Government of Canada's website. You can actually federally incorporate your business there. And of course, you get one for your province and stuff like that after as well, too. I have never seen the warning window I saw 2 weeks ago when I went to incorporate a brand new business for a client of mine. Due to the volume of requests we have right now, it's taking at least 5 business days to respond. I've never seen that in 8 years. I used to be able to go in, incorporate a new business. I'd get an email 4 hours later with all the paperwork, and sometime the next day this will show up. If you'd like, and you need this as a rush, you can spend an extra $100. Yay, government, getting more money out of us, right? But good on them for recognizing some people are in a hurry, but also capitalizing on it. Good business practice, right? It really is. I don't care if it's the government or not for a moment. They capitalized on the environment. I've never seen that warning window, which means more people than what the government computer could handle. And no, that was not a comparison to say the government's got good computers. Just saying that more than what the computer could handle was coming into the form of requests to start brand new businesses. Now, if that ain't adaptation and growth in a shifting marketplace, I don't know what else to tell you. Get your mind right on your money, get your mind right on your relationships, make sure you're far more proactive than reactive. And for the love of God, learn something new. Take care of your body, take care of mind, take care of your soul. Paul, Matt, Ben, Lorette, thank you for coming in and doing this here, right? Love you guys to pieces. Part of the circle, always good friends, always good to have you in amongst the company. MCC's Virtual Business Box Lunch. Thank you for joining us, live audience. Thank you for coming and seeing this. You're going to see this next time. And of course, keep watching for it. It's not every week, but it's damn near every week. So watch for the next one coming up right away. We'll be right here just talking about the stuff that we're experiencing, what's going on in business, and of course, giving you some insight, suggestions. It's been wonderful to share today with you. See you all very, very soon.